Nature is all around us, everywhere we look. Nature is the glistening snow, a windswept plateau, a river that's flowing, sunshine that's glowing, a rainforest that's steamy, a mountain that's dreamy. We're surrounded by nature in a fragrant rose garden and beside a rocky shoreline. Zoos provide us with unique opportunities to view nature in all its splendor, seeing animals and habitats we might otherwise never get to see. Animals of all types are precious companions here on our planet. We laugh at their antics and their unusual appearance. We ooh and ah at their beauty and their size. Watching nature is lots of fun. From the friendly house cat in your backyard to the sluggish, slippery snail heading for your garden. Don't forget the tuxedoed penguins in their cold weather homes, or the majestic polar bears from the land of the midnight sun. Though forest creatures, hens are most commonly seen on the farm, while wild ducks may decide to light upon any pond, whether it's downtown or far into the wilderness. It's fascinating to watch animals and make note of how they care for their young, what they eat and how they gather their food, how they play and protect themselves and live from day to day. All animals, no matter where they may live, deserve our respect, admiration, and protection. We're going to look at some animals through the eyes of a talented illustrator, and from these wonderful pictures, 3 different stories will be told. The first story is a make-believe adventure. The second story, also make-believe, is authored and read by a young person. The third story is nonfiction and will be filled with real facts about real animals. Let's continue our first Nature Watch story, The Polar Bear. Long ago, in a cold and distant place, lived 2 polar bears, 2 special polar bears, for they were the king and queen of this snowy wonderland. They lived in a magnificent ice castle that was so far to the north that no man has ever seen it. But this royal pair was not happy at all. One evening, as they roamed regally across the ice, they made a decision to change their lives.
Maybe if we could live like all the other polar bears,
stated the king.
Maybe then we'd feel happy.
The queen thought for a moment and said,
You may be right. Other bears seem to enjoy themselves. I've watched them from the castle tower.
They talked and talked for days and tried to recall all the things that ordinary polar bears do.
I feel happier already,
smiled the king. The royal couple almost chuckled as they thought about diving headfirst into a pool of water, or patiently waiting beside a seal's breathing hole to make the catch. Do you know what made them feel the happiest? The thought of starting a family of their own. So, while the winter winds blew and the snow danced down from the bleak and dark sky, the queen dug out a den and gave birth to 2 cuddly cubs.
Stay close to me, little ones,
comforted the new mother.
I'll keep you safe and warm.
The days passed quickly, and soon the weather was mild enough and the cubs were strong enough to venture out of the den.
Oh, look at the pretty blue sky! And the sun, it's so round and golden. I never knew the world would look so nice.
You know, neither did I,
said the queen. She wondered if she should tell the cubs about their father, the king, or about the magnificent castle they'd left behind on their quest for happiness.
Someday,
She thought to herself.
someday.
But in the meantime, she taught her playful young cubs everything she could about living the life of a polar bear. They didn't know that secretly, she was learning most of these things right along with them. Being a wise mother, she always made sure that there was enough time for fun. She'd seen other bears sliding down snowdrifts, so she and the cubs did it too.
When you get bigger, you will need lots and lots of food to eat.
The queen informed them. Now, polar bears eat birds and fish, and especially seals. But when the cubs found a bird, they wanted to play with it. And when they came upon their first seal, they wanted to bring it home with them.
Mommy, can we keep him?
Not today.
Said the queen calmly. She knew when the time was right, they'd give up their playful notions concerning food. One snowy day, the cubs noticed a dog sled team off in the distance. This was something new. They wanted to investigate. Fortunately, their mother knew better.
It's best to stay away from them.
She cautioned.
But if we keep quiet and don't move, we can watch them go about their business.
The queen was feeling very proud of herself. Her cubs were strong and healthy. Little by little, they were learning the ways of the polar bear. But now she was getting restless. Somehow, she knew that she was supposed to do something different, though she didn't know what. What she did know was that it was time to move on. So, the queen and her two cubs began to walk, and walk, and walk.
Look at the water. It goes forever and ever. Is it cold?
With that, the queen dove into the water headfirst.
This is wonderful, exhilarating, refreshing.
Stated the queen.
Mommy, I'm hungry.
The queen climbed out of the water and positioned herself at the ice's edge.
Let's have fish for lunch.
She suggested. The cubs looked on anxiously as the fishing demonstration began. Please understand that the queen had never fished before. This was a new experience for her too. She tried and tried to catch a fish, but it was harder to do than it looked. She made one last effort.
There, I did it. That's how it's done.
Said the joyful polar bear. They were delighted with their delicious lunch.
A meal fit for a king.
And then she thought of her husband, the king. She did miss him. When they lived in the ice castle, they were together all the time. But she was never lonely with her cubs at her side.
When you are bigger, I'll take you to see your father.
Said the queen in a motherly tone. The cubs were delighted. So, when the time was right, the family was reunited. They didn't return to the ice castle, though. It seemed small and confining now. Besides, they'd found something even better. The vast Arctic region would be their home forever.
This is my story called The Polar Bear by Dante. Once upon a time there was two polar bears, and this one day winter was coming, and it was snowy, the moon was shining. Mama Bear had two babies. One cub was a girl and one was a boy. They named the girl Sarah and the boy Freddie. They all liked to play in the snow, so Mom took them to the deep snowy part. They saw some wolves pulling a sled, and they laughed and laughed until they couldn't laugh anymore. So then Mama and Freddie and Sarah, they walked back to their den and ate all through the winter. One day, the mama bear and the cubs were catching fish, and Mama Bear scooped up a fish and made it fly in the air. Freddie caught it and ate. They all laughed and laughed. Then it was Sarah's turn, and Mama Bear jumped into the water and made a deep splash. All the waves came in a line going up and down. When Mama Bear jumped in, it was a big, big splash. And
Far to the north, at the top of the world, lives the polar bear. He majestically reigns over millions of square miles of ice and snow. He's well suited for his frozen homeland, though. Underneath his skin lies a protective layer of fat that's 3 to 4 inches thick. This keeps him warm on the ice and in the water. It also helps him float when he goes for a long swim. On several occasions, a bear has been spotted 200 miles from shore, just swimming along with no visible signs of fatigue or distress. When polar bears swim, they use their front legs only, in dog paddle-like fashion. It's hard to believe that they can swim at a speed of 6 miles per hour this way. When a polar bear is about 5 years old, it's considered fully mature and ready to mate. This usually occurs during the months of April or May. In October, all of the pregnant females dig their dens, which are very similar to an Eskimo's igloo. There's an entryway that tunnels upward to the main living area. They mound up a makeshift sill at this entryway to conserve heat. Usually a hole or two for ventilation can be found. The temperature in the den is 15 to 35 degrees warmer than outside of the den. Sometime during the month of December, the mother bear will give birth to 2 tiny, helpless cubs. They'll remain in the den till warmer weather arrives and the cubs are stronger. Polar bears are skillful and affectionate mothers. Even in March, when the cubs are ready for their first adventure beyond the safety of the den, the mother stays very close to them at all times. Here they'll nibble on bits of grass or moss. Though wobbly at first, the cubs develop quickly, and within weeks they'll head for the sea with their mother. Here they'll begin training for survival. Although during their first year they mostly observe their mothers because they're not yet powerful enough to hunt on their own. Seals are the main food for the polar bear. An adult bear will catch and eat 1 seal every 4 to 5 days. But they'll also eat fish, seabirds, and once in a while eggs. During the summer months, they'll feed on grass, seaweed, moss, and if they're lucky, some berries. The polar bear is brave and bold. Though he prefers to stay away from man, he'll not back down when confronted. Side by side with his fearlessness is his desire to have a good time. Polar bears are playful. They'll slide down a snowbank on their bellies, dive headfirst into a pool of water, or roll on their backs and kick their feet just for the fun of it. And, except during mating season, bears are very sociable with one another. The males will roll around, pushing and biting each other in a playful manner. When big bears play with the smaller ones, they appear to be careful, trying not to hurt them. Did you ever wonder just how a polar bear could run so swiftly over ice and never slip and fall? I did. I discovered that they have hair on the bottom of their feet, and this gives them excellent traction. These feet, by the way, are about 12 inches wide and are the bear's most powerful weapon for hunting or defense. To accompany these large feet, the polar bear has a huge body. Males weigh an average of 1,000 pounds and stand 8 feet tall. Females are a bit smaller, weighing 700 to 800 pounds. In spite of their bulky size, the bears are quick. In the harsh environment of the Arctic, the life expectancy of a polar bear is about 15 years. Healthy bears in captivity, however, have lived twice that long. Now, as the long, dark Arctic winter approaches, the adult females search for the perfect snowdrift. Here they'll dig out their snowy dens and new life will begin again.